Welcome to But Jesus Drank Wine.
And other stories that kept us stuck. I'm Mead.
And I'm Christy.
And in this podcast, we'll explore the stories that kept us, well, stuck, wanting to drink and not wanting to drink all at the same time.
Join us as we show you that freedom from alcohol does not have to mean a life sentence of misery and missing out,
but actually means living an authentic life full of peace, joy, and purpose.
Hello, my beautiful friend. It's Christy here. Just quickly wanted to pop on here and let you know that my book, Love Life Sober, a 40-Day Alcohol Fast, is now available for pre-order. I will stick a link for you in the show notes. But if you want to head to lovelifesober40dayfast.com, you can get it there on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, pretty much everywhere. I've also lined up some really special pre-order goodies for the gals that get the book early, so make sure you pop over there to check them out. I'm really, really thrilled to share this with you, and I cannot wait for you to read it. Thanks. Hello, my friend.
Hi. We haven't done this in a while. I'm so excited.
I know we hadn't done it. Literally the second I just hit record, I was like, gosh, it hasn't just been us in a minute.
10 things, which let's kind of frame this with, you had this good idea for this episode, and we threw it into the middle of like a crazy schedule time for both you and me, and we showed up to record it, and it was one of the most fun recordings we've ever done, but it was hilarious. And so we've decided to save that completely unedited and drop it in the community because, we often do just show up and just chat through things, and we keep it pretty real here. But we decided that this would be better if, I was actually an active participant in this conversation this time. So we're re-recording this for our listeners, and we're going to throw the ridiculousness of the other one in the community for our gals there just to enjoy. But yeah, this is like take two.
I also think this is a very good example of you telling yourself a story that you were not active or you weren't full, because I think it was fine, but I'm happy to record it again.
Yeah, but this is why I was not an active participant. You're like, all right, 10 things, let's go. And we ping back and forth. I didn't actually make a list. I had no list. That's why I was not an active participant.
But you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell.
Funny. Anyway, we just, we wanted to bring a little bit of standard to our recordings
I think
here.
on that day we had a podcast guest before, and then we had the community directly after. And so we also learned a very good lesson, and don't do 3 things in a row. I mean, I struggle with doing 2 things in a row.
Well, because it's always afternoon for you. And then anyway, yeah. And then we talked about with the kids being born for the summer and all of that. Well, for me anyway, the interruptions. Your kids are still finishing school, or they just finished at this point, but they were still in school. And I could hear Barbie happening upstairs. I could hear the breakfast being made. Anyway, it's just funny. So here we are for a real professional.
Very professional. I hope that you guys showed up here, you guys and gals, no, just gals, showed up here for some professionalism and seriousness, because that is what we're all about.
Clearly, that's what we do.
Okay, no, but serious. Let's talk about the 10 things. We did one of these list episodes again where we kind of thought about, now we actually did think about it this time. 10 reasons why living alcohol-free makes us more confident. And I kind of had the idea to do this list because I think these things come to me kind of on the daily. You know what I mean? Where it's oh, this wouldn't have looked like this if I was still drinking. And the fact that it looks differently now, all of those little tiny things add up to making us more confident women, right? And yeah.
The physical benefits that are going to happen from the better skin, all of those things. If not daily, at least weekly reminded of some other surprise gift of being free from alcohol. And it is in seeing those oh, this is what would have been different if I was still stuck in the drinking cycle about this situation. And I think I love this topic. I love that you came up with this idea in particular because there is a confidence that comes in so many different areas when you're not carrying the feeling of like that shame and blame, that like, what am I going to do about this? How am I going to solve this? And even before you get to that point of awareness of being stuck in your relationship with alcohol and wanting to change that, like you're not even aware of all of that stuff, but there is that questioning and insecurity and all that is kind of, happening at the same time. So there is, yeah, a lack of, there was an insecurity in me then that there isn't as much now. And it plays out in a million different ways now. So,
I also think it's such a good reminder too of of the facts that like the confidence comes with doing the thing, the confidence comes with competence, right? Like doing things, living life. And if you don't feel this immediate shift of just like
yes,
automatically you're a new confident like person and you feel so secure after month 2 or 3, like that's totally normal.
yes,
And that you have to go and you have to live your life and you have to do all the things that you did drinking not drinking to get to this
yeah.
place where these little things add up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the practicing. And like, if we're training run a marathon, who would ever do such a thing? I don't know.
Nobody on nobody on this podcast.
Nobody on this podcast, but if
All
you
the
were,
props, all the props to those people.
yes. I mean, yeah, that's something I could never do. But yeah, you've got to like practice. You got to put it into practice and train for it. And that's when over time you develop that confidence. Just like you just said, I just restated what you said in different words.
Yeah, but I also think that we have learned that my words like really resonate with some people and yours like really resonate with others. So it's good that we have both of our things.
Even if they're
Um,
identical words
even if they're the identical words.
and you can't tell the difference.
Um, Which also that happens a lot. People are like, "I don't know who's talking." Okay, so should I start or would you like to start? Since you have a list now. It's
Since I
always
actually showed up to participate, no, I'd love for you to kick us off with yours.
okay, so again, just in case you didn't track with what we're doing here, we're listing reasons why living alcohol free has made us more confident. And these are just like little things that have, yeah, made
Big
a big thing.
impact.
Big little things, big impact. Okay, so the first thing on my list is remembering to be the tooth fairy or to move the elf. And I forgot to be the tooth fairy definitely on 1 or 2 times because I had been drinking and I was lying in my bed with my glass of red wine watching the housewives and just totally forgot. And that made me feel awful the next day. So remembering to move the tooth fairy, be the tooth fairy, move the elf, all the things was one of those little things that just, yeah, made me more confident.
Yeah, it's just like it adds together. It's like that's one more thing that I can so relate to that. It's one more thing that I'm just sucking at doing as a mom. So in that place
Mhm.
of feeling stuck and living not as I know like my best, then to throw something that's seemingly small like that to like forget the tooth fairy or that stupid elf on the shelf. Forgetting something like that would have been really disruptive to me in that stuff in the breaking cycle. Whereas if now I forget those things, which I'm not real, we're kind of aged out a little bit of those things now. But over the
Mhm.
last 5 years, we've been part of that. If I forget, it's a little bit easier. I don't forget as much, and it's a little bit easier to go. And it's also not a big deal. So, like,
Yeah.
does that
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
sense?
Totally. Totally. 100%. What's your first one on your list?
Just confidence in decision making. I think this is something that really stood out to me is that like I used to question, like I used to go round and round and round decisions I was making or had to make. I was always, like I had a hard time maybe saying like, no, this is what I'm going to do here, or whatever, or with the kids or whatever it could be. I was always questioning and second guessing. Whereas now there's just this like because of the freed up space that not just like not drinking alcohol, but because, and we always talk about this too, because it's so true. My brain just works so much better because it's not being bogged down, number one, by the alcohol and the effects of drinking that regularly, but also the space that it took up that because it was getting in the way. I just have this cleared up space to be able to just be like, oh, this is a decision I'm making about this. And whether it's the wrong decision or the right decision, I don't know. We'll see. And it's okay. Like there's just a confidence in that that wasn't there when I was stuck in the drinking cycle. I was more like apt to like, no, like it's just always kind of like question. It was that it's just insecurity, I think.
Yeah, it is a big one, and I so relate to all of that, and also being able to, like, stand in that decision and know that, like, if it doesn't pan out the way that you hope, that it's okay, right? Like,
Yeah.
confidence in uncertainty, confidence in things going a way that you don't want them to, and just knowing that it's okay. It's okay, right? Yeah.
Yes. I didn't have like capacity for that kind of like flexibility before that I do now, which like totally bleeds into another one of my enrichments, like the ability to like make mistakes and fail and just like the confidence of like knowing it'll be okay, because
Babe, you
yeah,
wrote down like massive things, and my list is like moving the elf and washing off my makeup and paying the babysitter. Like, this is my list. And your list
those
is
things
like
are
transformational confidence.
that's why we're a dynamic duo because we need both of those things.
You're right.
I I do have makeup removal on mine too. Like the confidence that comes from knowing that I washed my face and brushed my teeth
Mhm,
and it didn't
mhm.
skip on that. And I'm not waking up with pounding headache and the sweater in my mouth. And that, yeah, like not having to question whether I took off my makeup. But yeah, I mean, like that was enough to that's important too.
Yeah. I want to ask a question that has nothing to do with anything that we're talking about because we brought up makeup. I know, shocker. Has anybody else, if this has happened to you, please reach out to me or us. I have become allergic to mascara in my old age, and I literally cannot wear it anymore, which goes to the whole like taking off your makeup at the end of the day isn't as stressful anymore because I don't have to rub off mascara because I just can't wear it. Um, I just throwing that out there. If you have become allergic to mascara in your old age, please let me know. Someone told me to go get the is it Benefit? Like the Benefit mascara. I guess it's like better for you, like less toxic stuff.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. That doesn't work either. So shout out to anybody. If that's happened to you, please let me know.
This
I have to
happened to
write.
me
Did it?
10 years ago.
But
Yes.
you're wearing mascara right now, babe. I have to literally sometimes I'm like, okay, I should really put on mascara for this moment, right? I did it once on this trip. I had to literally douse like my eyelids in hydrocortisone for 3 days.
Yes. Gosh, I'm having flashes back to this time where I could not figure out what was causing like scaling, flaking, itchy, like all of that. And it took me going through like a million different mascaras and
Okay, so
landing
what's the
on,
one you have on now?
I don't know, Urban Decay something. It's a
Okay, well, you need to send that to
cleaner.
me.
I'll send it to you. But I will say I tried. I mean, I tried the bit anyway. But also is my like makeup remover that I think was contributing to it. So it's like two parts. Yeah. So we need some clean stuff.
Yeah.
So so
Yeah.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good question. Is this something that happens with age, or is it something that like our body also is like more sensitive to things now because we're not putting all that other crap in it?
That is such a good point. That is such a good point because it actually did start the summer that I stopped drinking or the spring that I stopped drinking. Well, we need to look that up. Okay, let's move on to our professional podcast here. My next one after washing off makeup is remembering to pay the babysitter. Oh, I remember this story that I
Oh
told
my
on
gosh.
our on the
Please tell
first
this. This is so good.
on
I
the
love
first
it.
week of this episode. So I was in LA one summer. One of my really good girlfriends was here from Dallas. She brought her kids. I had my kids. We were sharing an Airbnb. We would go out at night, like, and do like all the drinking. And we were using a babysitter, a coach from the camp that like great guy, love him. But we both would pay him every single night. We would Venmo him at the end of the night. And we didn't realize because we would wake up every single morning of that trip and be like, did you pay the Joe? No. Did you pay Joe? I don't know. Did you? I don't know. And like, of course, because I was probably hungover, I didn't stop and then just like look at my Venmo.
Yeah. I
Like
didn't know.
have the conversation because I was just trying to survive. Anyway, Joe Bro made out real good that summer because he was being double paid or at least double paid on some of the nights because neither of us could remember if we paid him. And I don't have to ever do that again. And I love that.
I love it. Said babysitter was really bummed when you found freedom from alcohol because
Yep.
you like paid his whole like semester of college with you all did
Probably.
with your double paying the babysitter and now he's like, crap, how am I gonna do that? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah, and just the confidence that comes from not having to like who's gonna go in and talk to the babysitter. Like I can
Oh,
relate
yeah.
to that. And like I'm gonna hang out here in the car and you're gonna have to go send her out the front door and then I'll come in the back door. Like, I don't have to worry about any of that anymore. And there's just so much freedom in that and confidence and like we're gonna go out tonight, we're gonna have a good time and we're gonna come home. And I mean, there's so many parts of that that create a confidence, but like not having to worry about that is huge.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I literally used to say to Chris, like, you deal with it. And I would literally bolt up the stairs so I wouldn't have to like make any sort of drunk conversation.
I know.
Oh,
Yeah. Gosh, I'm like having a reaction in my belly right now and thinking about how uncomfortable that
mhm.
was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's nice to not have to, we don't have to do that ever again.
We don't have to do that ever again. What's next on your list?
We don't. Well, the confidence that comes from being able to say no to the social things. I think you had on your list too, like the no social
Yes.
climbing. And
Yes.
I mean, that's a
Yes.
whole episode probably, like the FOMO, the social climbing, the being able to say no to social engagements. I mean, that used to be something that would rack my brain, my world, like trying to like knowing that this is not a good fit, like I don't want to go do that or whatever. And just the confidence in being able to say no and not having to like justify it either.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
something that has come as a result of, you know, when from alcohol because like I don't need to be a part of that. I don't I don't need to like validate my space in that social event because I'm not so dependent on being part of that social space anymore
Yeah.
where I totally was when I was, starting the drinking cycle. That was kind of like the common denominator to those some of those social spaces was the
Yeah.
drinking.
Totally. I mean, in the beginning years of living in London, I was a wine snob. I was a social climber. I'm gonna say it. I was friends with all the gals that were on that show, Ladies of London. I desperately wanted to be cast. At one point, they were talking about it, and I was just like obsessed with all of it. And now I'm just like, oh, I'm so glad I don't have to do that anymore. And actually, even this week I was thinking about because for the first 3 days of this week so I'm in LA, right? I'm seeing my family in LA. I normally live in London. I'm in LA. Normally when I'm here, it is a jam-packed, crazy bananas schedule. And this week, the kids are at sleepaway camp. I spent the first 3 days of the week doing my the audiobook for the book. And if this had been obviously, I wouldn't be doing this book and drinking, but
Yeah.
if this had been old Christy, it would have been like, okay, from 5 o'clock when I was out of the studio, there would have been a dinner plan, potentially drinks with someone, and then a dinner plan, and then drinks with more people. And I literally just came back to my Airbnb, turned off my phone. And at one point, I was like, I should drive down to Orange County and see some of my sorority sisters who I love and miss. But I was like, you know what? Like, what is that? How is that going to place me for like today when we're spending the morning recording? And dang, babe, just the transformation that is. I'm in
Mhm.
LA and I'm literally hiding
I
because
love
you
it.
know what? It felt so good to Postmates a La Scala chopped salad and just sit. And at one point, I was like catching up on our John study because I'm behind in that, and like read a
Yeah.
book. And
Yeah.
like it felt so good. I even like felt like this like very excitement when I would get into my pajamas at 4 o'clock and just like hide.
You are speaking my language. I love everything about that. There's so much freedom in just being fully awake, fully like alert, fully in tune to like what you need and what serves you and what doesn't serve you, and being able to make those like, yeah, I hate the word conscious, but like that's what comes to mind, like conscious decisions. That's something that everything was so reactive and fly by the seat of my pants when before 5 years ago, before I freedom from alcohol. And I think that that's the beauty of that. It's so huge because we're we are being more intentional, and that does create more confidence, that creates more less dependency on other people's expectations of us. And
Yeah.
there's so many ways I want to go with that, but I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Freedom from like the should.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We should do a whole episode on freedom from the shoulds.
we should. We should. Freedom from the
Yeah.
should. We should do that. Responding to the heartfelt requests from you, our wonderful, wonderful listeners, for a deeper sense of community, we are so excited to introduce y'all to the But Jesus Drink Wine community.
Get ready to be part of an exclusive experience where you'll join a sisterhood of kindred spirits on a transformative journey of faith, sobriety, and personal growth.
You'll gain access to our private community, a place where deep connections can flourish among women who share your aspirations of strengthening faith in Christ and breaking free from alcohol.
But wait, there's more. We'll host regular connection calls to facilitate fellowship with like-minded gals, no matter where you stand on your alcohol or faith journey. Whether you're seasoned or just curious, you are very warmly welcomed here.
Prepare to be inspired by guest expert sessions and engaging Q&As that explore the essential topics for your sobriety, faith, and holistic wellness journey.
Don't miss out on securing your spot. Click the link in the show notes to learn more.
We can't wait to see your beautiful face in the But Jesus Drank Wine community. What else? Well, that kind of goes into like the being confident about using my body's clues to like tell me what I need, and know what I need. I mean, I've said this here a million times, but like I couldn't even answer the question when my girlfriend 6, 7 years ago asked me the question, like, what do you need? And what
Yeah.
do you need? And what do you want? Or like two questions that dumped me. I could not answer those two questions to save my life. And it's like, well, of course not. I wasn't paying attention to, what my body was trying to tell me, what like I just wasn't paying it, like, again, just living in that kind of like reactive space. And so now like your example, it's kind of being able to pay attention to, and then being confident and like, no, this is actually what's going to serve me right now, instead of, trying to cram in whatever that thing is. And it's not a selfish thing. It's a taking ownership of like
Yeah.
what God has gifted us, right? Like we're not just, we're bodies too, and mind, like all of it together. And like how do I want to show up, and what best helps me do that?
I think that is not selfish thing is one that bears repeating because it's so
Yeah.
important and it goes to the opposite of how we've been conditioned, right? Like it is not selfish to stick to your boundaries. It is not selfish to ask yourself what you need, right? I have a wonderful, amazing client who is going through a major, major, major loss in her life. And we chatted this week and I was just saying, what did, and it actually started off with, we had a scheduled coaching call and she was like, I don't think I can do it. I'm like, what do you need? That's fine. Like, you want me to give you a quick call for 15 minutes and let's just have a chat. And so we did. And I said, I was like, I just have one question. What do you need? And she said, I need to get out of my house because she has a revolving door of family and she's got grown up kids that just constantly are there, just cooking for everybody and hosting, hosting, hosting. And she's like, I need to get out of my house for 2 days and I need to turn off my phone. And I was like, I want you to go ask for that right now from your husband. I want you to go ask. And she did, and she's doing it. And I'm so proud of her because it is not in her nature to do this at all. And she was like, "This is the best thing that I could have done." It's just I'm like, "Go turn off your phone. Don't cook for anybody.
Yeah.
If you need to sit in your room and watch Bridgerton, that's what you need. Do it."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, because we can't take care of other people when we're trying to take care of them from an empty space. And so
Yeah.
yeah, you have to be able to take care of yourself. And I think it's so easy to put everybody else first and forget that there are yeah, some basic needs that need to that need to be met before you can pour out to other people. And that is something that when living in that kind of just fly by the seat of my pants, like that reactive, like being
Mhm.
kind of controlled by what social event is upcoming and, making it to the weekend or whatever that looks like. It, those are things that take a back seat. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. I have boundaries we just talked about. I can stick to my boundaries. I can chat and hold a conversation. And that was one of those things where, if you were like the fears of what or
Yeah.
assumptions about what non-drinking is going to look like, am I going to be able to like
Uh-huh.
be be intelligent and hold a conversation? I have so many clients that we talk about this, and it's
Yeah.
that first one I had, right? It was almost like an out of talked about it before, and here it was like an out of body experience where I was like, I'm funny.
Yeah. Right?
I'm I'm a real fun person to chat to. And like it was like, oh, that realization that I don't need alcohol to be an engaging person. And by the way, if you don't find me engaging, that's totally cool.
Being confident in not being, yeah, like, yeah. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I remember now too when we recorded this before, we had just gone to a cookout and a little like social gathering. And I remember like in the past, there were going to be a bunch of people there that I didn't know. And there would have been this like buildup of like, okay, I need to have the glass of wine, either when I'm getting ready or on our way. So that by the time I get there, and then am I going to find somebody to, chat, like, what's it going to look like? And there would have been all of this like energy spent trying to kind of control, so to speak, that engagement. And the wine would have been the thing that would have helped take the edge off in my mind. That's what I thought. And yet that's so not true because it really just added to that anxiety I was already having. And it was another, I mean, it's been 5 years. And I still have
Yeah.
these moments where I'm like going to this cookout and I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not gonna know a lot of people. And I may not find anybody that like I super connect with, but I might and we'll see. And it doesn't matter. I was just confident walking in there. You're like, we'll see what unfolds. And that's just so, so different than before. So different. It's so great.
Yeah. So good.
So good. So true. I had like the ability to just do hard things, like counterculturally. That's
Yeah.
just something, such a gift of being free from alcohol. There's like I mean, not that it's always easy. Hard things aren't easy. And or living counterculturally, like as followers of Jesus and living free from alcohol. Not easy things, but because I already had this like great practice, if you will, with finding freedom from alcohol, living counterculturally, following Jesus. Yeah, it's like it all blends together. And there's just a confidence that comes from not having to be like everybody else. Like we don't have to be like everybody else. And I love that so much. There's a confidence in that I did not have before.
Yeah. As you were saying that, I just wanted to really quickly read. I love the message translation of Romans 12:2. And I included
That's a
Romans
good one.
12:2 so many times in the book that my editor was like, you got to pick a different verse. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to literally give you the message now. But let's read it.
Yes.
Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit into it without even thinking. Instead, fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out. Readily recognize what he wants from you and quickly respond to it. And this is my favorite part. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down, to its level of immaturity, God brings out the best in you. And I just thought, oh, isn't that just such a great way of saying that? Like, we don't have to fit into the culture around us because that's exactly what it does. It drags you down. But I never would have had the confidence to live, as you say, counterculturally without this alcohol freedom journey.
Yeah. I mean, it really was this nice little on ramp, I think, that the Lord
I love that.
provided for us to like, hey, like you're going to get this out of the way and then you're going to refocus on me. You're going to come home to me and refocus here. And then now we're going to do the harder thing. And there is what I love about all of this. And we talk about this in our coaching group. We talk about this in all the places. Like it is not easy to find freedom from alcohol. It takes practice. It takes a lot, right? It's not easy to follow Jesus. It takes practice and training. Like it takes doing it over and over and again. Like anything that's worth it, done.
Yeah.
Like it takes time. And so the confidence comes as you build the reps and as you
Yeah.
further trust. Like I keep coming back to I think it was in Christopher Cook's book, maybe Yield and Trust. Yield and Trust. I think he says that about healing what you can't erase. Like there's just you yield and you trust. Like, the more I practice yielding and trusting in God and keep focused on him, the more confident I am in whatever situation I'm being thrown into, which allows me to let the other places not be so forefront, like being conformed by the world. So yeah.
I
So,
love that.
so good. What else do you have?
Being able to dance or like sing along in a
Hmm.
concert was something that I was not confident about or I was worried about being
Yes.
confident in, I guess. That now that I've had, and again, as we've said a gajillion times already, practice makes perfect, right? Like it's okay if you feel like a fish out of water for the first 20 minutes. Okay if you feel like a fish out of water for your first few times doing this new thing that you've always done with alcohol. But the confidence comes in practicing, and I won't tell the Eras tour story again, but dancing along with Taylor for 4 hours with Ella was so much fun, and I never thought about alcohol, and I never thought that would be possible.
Yeah. It's just that confidence that comes being able to just show up and not be so. I guess I didn't realize how much alcohol kept me worried about all the things that I was worried
Yeah,
about.
that's
And
so good,
then,
babe.
yeah, I mean, because, and when you know the science of what, like when you know why it does, and it's like, well, of course it did. And then when you experience the freedom of not being in that place, it's like, I'm not
Yeah.
saying they're like, we're living over here worry stress free all the time. I'm just saying that that constant level of anxiety that was always there is just not there. And that certainly affects like confidence to be able to like show up and be silly and have fun and, dance around, yeah, be with the kids in a different way or be at a conference or a concert in a different way. Um, the last on my list was it goes back to identity. One of the scariest things for me was thinking about how if I'm not the party girl, if I'm not the fun girl, if I'm not the fun boring, if I'm not the social, well, like if I'm not that and that loss of identity that comes, then who will I be? And
Yeah.
the
Yes.
the confidence that comes in realizing that like those were never real identities anyway, and
Yep.
they did need to go bye-bye, and then being able to reconnect to my one true identity in Christ, and that alone, it's like, well, duh, of course there's confidence now because my identity is fully and totally and firmly now in and through Christ. And so it doesn't really all the other things are just all the other things I do, like my identity as a mom, like that's just a role and it's important and I love it and I take it seriously. But to be a good mom is not my identity anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
that's been huge.
Yeah. I love that so much. I feel like that is such a great journaling exercises for gals that if you haven't ever done this, of
Yeah.
like go and sit down and journal about your identity and don't make it the list of the jobs that you do. Don't make it that you're a mom. Don't make it that you're whatever your profession is. Like, who are you?
Oh
It's
my
such a
gosh,
good
this is
thing.
my favorite.
And just like see what comes out because there are so many things that A, are not important that we hang
Mhm.
on to. And this gives us this alcohol free living, this like living intentionally, all the things just gives us the opportunity to figure out who we are and who we want to be, which is amazing.
Yeah, and the truth of that, I actually did this not too long ago as a like a full on full morning exercise that I went through because I have found in my now that I'm awake and alert and all of these things, I get these opportunities and this forever that we get to do of like, untangling this tendency or that habit or getting stuck over here. What story here still plays out? And so often the stories that will keep me stuck or that used to keep me stuck that sometimes snag me now always come back to some kind of lie I'm believing about my identity. And so
Yeah.
if you can, I love that as like a tiny Tina or a big Tina today, but like sitting, and so I've done it multiple times, and I just did it again recently, and it was like, oh my gosh, God, that's who you say I am. That's
Yeah.
true, and all the other stuff is that's not real. So, bravo, brilliant, love it. Big
Yeah.
fan, big fan.
Big fan. Oh, I'm really glad we re-recorded this episode because it definitely was a lot better this.
It definitely was. I mean, we were unhinged, but yeah, this is fun, and hopefully the readers enjoyed it as well. And if you want to hear the ridiculous version, you'll have to join us
Yeah,
in the community. And yeah,
I love it. Well, we will see you gals next Monday. We love you. We pray for you all the time. We're so glad you're here. If you want to connect with us further, there's ways to join the community in the show notes. We've got about, I looked the other day, 54 gals in there, which is amazing.
we're
And
having so much fun.
we're having a lot of fun in there. So, yeah, come hang out.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us again this week. You can find all of our episodes at butjesusdrinkwine.com and be sure to follow us over on Instagram, Love Life Sober, and I'm Not Sober, I'm Free.
To learn more about what we do, you can visit our websites, meethollandshirley.com and lovelifesober.com.
Take a screenshot of this podcast and share it with a friend or two.
And don't forget to subscribe to our pod so you don't have to worry about missing a single episode. And if you love what we're doing, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify.
This helps more women who are feeling stuck and alone in the overdrinking cycle find hope and encouragement.
Thanks, ladies. We so appreciate you, and we'll see you next Monday.